Darrel Page is with us right now. We just talked to his wife, Cindy. So you know a little bit of his story, but Cindy purposely left a lot of it out to give Darrel a chance to tell it from his own perspective. So, Darrel, I'm going to turn the time over to you, and I can't wait to hear how it was that your life was made new by Jesus Christ.
Okay. Well, it all started in I think it was 2013. We were getting prepared for retirement. We were going back and forth on the weekends up to Yucca Valley, and my sister Debbie, you've met her. She's
Mhm.
up here now. She invited Cindy to come to her church there, Joshua Springs, and so Cindy went to Joshua Springs, and she came home, and she's like, you need to come to this church. I was always a CEO, you know what those are, Christmas, Easter, and other holidays, or whenever your wife said, come with me to church. And so I would go to be with her, but for whatever reason, nothing grabbed me, nothing. Um, I don't know. I guess now looking back, now that I'm a Christian, um, really Jesus wasn't really there, because when I went to Joshua Springs, it didn't take very long that when they, at the end of every service, he always gave you the opportunity to accept the Lord in your heart. And whatever it was, that pastor there, he came out on stage and he was just speaking to me. I mean, just speaking to me. We sat right up in front because my sister always sat in the front row. And so we sat in the second row right behind her. And he's up there talking. And it just grabbed my heart. And so then when he gave everybody an altar call at the end one time. I did it, and bam, I was taken, and it changed my life. Yeah, so I got saved in it was either late 2014 or 2000, early 2015. It was, I think, in the springtime. And so it was just a few weeks after that they were offering baptisms. I wanted to get baptized. And so I didn't say anything to anybody until the last minute of the day it was happening. And Cindy's like, why didn't you say something? And I said, well, because just in case I backed out, I didn't want to embarrass myself. But I got baptized, and it was a pretty moving moment for me, and it made her happy. But I was 53 years old when I got saved, and I had never opened the Bible ever before. And it was funny that Cindy went to our pastor and asked him, what kind of Bible should I get, Darrel? And he said a New King James Version. She misunderstood him and got me the King James Version. And I opened it up and I was like, wow, I couldn't understand any of it. And so then she got me the right kind of Bible. And so I was starting to read it. But then there was another gentleman. I was working security at the church. I jumped in with all feet once I got saved. I couldn't serve enough at church. I was there 7 days a week almost doing stuff for the church, and I was hungry to learn about the Bible. And so it wasn't that I didn't believe in God, but I was one of those ones that believed that the Bible was maybe just like a storybook that had been interpreted over time and changed and stuff like that. But when He comes into your heart, right, you see things in a different light. And from I think just a couple months after being saved, I started witnessing miracles, one right after another, after another, after another, and that pretty much gets you right there. The first one was a young man at church that pastor, he came up on stage and said, talked to our about our worship leader that we had. We're like Ralph is or Gary. This young man was our worship leader, and they announced that they found a tumor the size of a baseball in his head, and that he was going to have surgery. And the doctor said that he would never be the same after the surgery. That he would probably have to learn how to re-walk, how to re-talk, how to redo everything in life. That he wouldn't be able to sing or nothing like that. And so we all, and this was like my first experience of this stuff, where the whole church got up and went to the altar, and we all laid hands on him. And it was after he had the surgery, they told us about how he was doing. And then 3 weeks after he had the surgery, the lights dimmed on the stage, and who walks out on stage but him holding his guitar with the shaved head, a big old huge scar on his head, and he started playing the guitar and leading worship. And I was floored. I've shared that story so many times, but I've seen that, and many other times that he had his hands on stuff. Big time for me was I was in a car crash in 2017, head-on collision. I was in critical care for 6 days,
Oh,
and he gave me enough strength that I knocked my door open on my car. We were out in the middle of the desert, 45 minutes away from Yucca Valley, out in the middle of nowhere. Some young lady was under the influence. She was coming one way, I was going the other way. I come around a bend, and she liked my lane more than hers. It hit me head on. I was in my Hummer, and it took the front of my Hummer and shoved it in 3 feet. And luckily, the engine goes down and underneath the frame, so I was pretty well done there. Most of the damage was done by the impact of the steering wheel and the seatbelt and the airbag and all that stuff. But I had 7 crushed ribs, a broken sternum, a broken hand, a broken foot. And I climbed out of the car, got my phone. I was out in the middle of the desert, and I called Cindy and told her I was in the car crash. And then she called a buddy of mine. He raced out there, and when they rushed me in the emergency room, Grumpy, that's what they call him. His
I
my
know Grumpy. I've met him.
He was right there at the emergency room when they pulled in there with the ambulance, and he was praying over me. He put the phone on my chest. It was Pastor Darrel, and the whole time, everybody in the hospital saw that they were praying for me, and so all the nurses kept coming into my room praying for me and stuff like that. I had all these cords and wires hooked up to me. That was quite a traumatic thing, and it
Yep.
was not too far before Christmas, and I got to come home, and I was on a walker, and I couldn't lay down and sleep for I don't know 4 months, something like that, and had to sit up in my easy chair because every time I lay down, the pressure on my ribs, I couldn't breathe, and I went to church, and Pastor Gerald announced that I was there, and then he comes up and whispers in my ear, and he goes, "That walker does not fit your big militia persona." So we went home that night, and I took that thing, folded it up, went to the back door, threw it out in the backyard, and Cindy goes, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm not using the walker no more. I'm going to walk without it." She's like, "Well, you better not fall down." And Lord healed me. It took a while, but I mean, it was crazy because I was in intensive care, and then they finally moved me to a normal room. And I told the doctor, "I want out of here. I want to go home." And he says, "I can only let you go home is if you can get up and walk with that walker so that we don't have to worry about you falling down. And you need to make at least one round around the floor of the hospital up here." I got up at that walker, a nurse helped me, and I did 8 laps around that hospital thing. And so he said, "Okay, you can go." And that was a praise God moment there. But he's had a lot of times where he's had his hands on me. I've shared with you many times just talking that I was a little bit of a ruffian, and I'm still a little rough around the edges. He still got work for me sometimes, but you know, he's done some good things in my life. I got to sign up for Bible college there, and took some classes before we moved up here. Didn't get to finish because we moved up here because he had his hands on that too. We wanted to get out from down there because everything was going crazy, and uh, we had a lot of friends. Everybody left California, and we all went different directions. Some went to Texas, some went to Oklahoma, and we looked at many other states. But all that they all had one thing in common: they would contact us and say, "We can't find a good church up here or where we're at." Cindy and I did just the opposite. We had the church before we had the home because
Wow.
Pastor Mike was from our church, and so we knew who he was. We'd seen him uh, um, come down there and give messages and stuff, and we watched him on video all the time and stuff. And so And then when we decided we were going to come up here, Pastor Darrel said, "Yep, you're going to the right place."
Yeah.
And he had his hands on that to where we were looking on Zoom and we almost gave up because we just could not find a house. There was bidding wars and stuff going on. We couldn't afford that and everything. And we came up here, and the last day the realtor was taking us around, he was scanning his tablet and this farm popped up. And I go, "What is that?" The house, the color of the house in the front yard and all the green hills around. So I go, "What is that?" And he goes, "Well, that's way out there, 10 miles out." And I said, "Well, I want to go see it." Of
Yeah, we're
course,
talking this city boy from California too. Talk about culture shock.
yes, it was, and it still is sometimes. God has his hands on it. He has it on it for a reason. You know, I used to tell all my guys, I think I shared with you that down in California, I was heavily involved with the California State Militia down there, and I
Mhm.
had worked my way up through the ranks and got voted in as they do election every 2 years, and I got voted in as the state regiment commander for the last 4 years that I was up down there. And at first when I was in there, I wasn't a Christian, and then I became a Christian. And so instead of sitting around the campfire and doing things that those kind of guys do, all of a sudden I was doing Bible studies and talking the Lord with them, and a lot of them got saved because of that. And I've had many of them send me messages over the time telling me that that doesn't happen now, and they miss that, or some of them step away from that, but now they're coming back to that. That I always try to use Facebook as a platform to share scripture and what he can do for us, because if you have a few hundred people, not you have a whole lot of friends on Facebook, you can touch a lot of people. But you can reach out there, and if you just have a couple hundred friends, you're reaching them, and if they share something that you shared, then it's multiplied like that.
Right.
And so that's a huge platform. But I've had the opportunity to teach others. I got introduced to go to Countryside and take up the ministry there, and that's been a huge blessing. We're going on our second year being there, and those spending time with those folks, and I build a relationship with them. This is the second year teaching kids on Wednesday nights, and that I was a little intimidated by because kids are so special, and they get everything, and they do get everything. It's just amazing to share the word with them and have them have a conversation with you and tell you what they're learning. And so that's an awesome thing to do. And it's really simple what he gives us to do, and that is to love him with everything we have and to love everybody that we're around. The whole Bible is about nothing but love. And once you get that concept down, it's pretty simple. And but it was men like Grumpy
Mhm.
and all the guys on the security team and stuff like that. I mean, they were good, solid Christians, but they were regular
I
men.
took notes while you were sharing. And it is so interesting how when we come to know the Lord and his spirit comes to live in us, we we have this hunger and thirst to spend time with him. That's how you know that you have been ignited by his spirit when that hunger is
The
there.
group that comes to the senior Bible study, they're serious Bible thumpers,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure that my message was solid. So, usually when I study for the kids or something like that, I'll spend the day going through stuff and writing notes, and depending on how much time I get and everything like that. And I spent 4 days studying for this thing, and the thing that got me was what we're saying, what we're talking about right here. Paul says that in there, that God entrusted us with the gospel, and that there was really heavy. And then it's all about the love. So we need to project that. So he came to Thessalonica after being in Philippi and being beaten and in that prison and all that, but nothing could stop him from from sharing that gospel, right? And so some of us have a heart, not some people out there that aren't opening up to Jesus and accepting him. They've had a hard life and they've had a hardened heart and they don't know how to accept him. and let that softness happen that's going to overtake them, their life will be changed completely.
Amen. So well said. That is exactly what happens. They're made new, just like the title of this group we're in.
Being a new creation, right? Like a caterpillar goes into cocoon, comes out a new creation. We're looking at filthy rags, and so we shed our old flesh, our old man, our old body, and we become these beautiful butterflies in Jesus Christ. And so I have it attached to my headboard right above my head to remind me daily that we're new.
We're made new. His mercies are new every morning, aren't they, Darrel?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so, so glad we got to have this conversation. I really appreciate you for coming on. And we have never had a man come on and share before. So you are our token man. You know, he's got us all in different places. You're at Countryside, you're with the kids on Wednesday night, and we're doing our thing with the women. And, you know, it's what the body of Christ is all about. We just go where he's called us to go, do what he's called us to do as best we can. And
Yeah,
it makes one great, big, beautiful picture like a puzzle, doesn't it?
it does, yeah. And it really gets yeah, it's his works. That's the way he works. And
It is. Yes, and it's a lot of fun. We have fun. I didn't know Christians had fun. I had a real different opinion of what I thought these people were. And you're always at the door to greet us every Sunday morning. We turn that corner and it's like, uh-oh, Darrel's gone in. We're late today. You are our gauge. So anyway, I hope it's not snowing on you in the morning.
well, it might. We'll see.
Never know. It's Idaho, you know.
We might have to shovel snow.
Might have to. All right, Darrel, thank you so much. God bless you.